Hello, welcome to our little discussion. I'm going to interview you.
Yeah,
about your book.
Our interview. I get to be interviewed.
Yeah, my first time interviewing you.
I feel important.
With my favorite author. Well, honey, you just wrote a new book. Actually, it's more like a booklet.
It's a booklet, very small book.
What, it's got 36 pages in it? Something like that?
No, not 36, 38.
37. So this is Rick's new booklet, and it's really just his story about his dad.
Yeah, it's my relationship with my dad, my story with my dad.
And tell us about because you've been writing this story on Facebook a couple years.
Yeah, I've shared this story. I've preached it on some Father's Days.
So why did you?
I've put out some of the elements of it out on social media. Well, I want to share it because not everybody has the perfect relationship with their parents or family members when they're growing up, and so I've got my own individual story, but I'm hoping that some people can relate to it because it's a story of having some daddy issues for particular reasons, and it's a story of redemption and unconditional love and the power of what that love did into my heart and eventually did in my dad's heart. And it's a beautiful story. It's an uncomfortable story early on, but it becomes something beautiful. And it's a story of how God can take something that's very ugly and make it into the most wonderful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. One little part that stood out to me was about how your dad and he was like your hero at first, and then
nobody was smarter, stronger, better. I mean, he was my hero.
And he sounds like a very interesting man because he worked on the NASA.
He worked at the space program, helped launch the Apollo rockets. I thought that was so important and cool, and it was.
And he built a boat, like you guys built a boat.
He could do anything with his hands. He was a good man.
Traveled a bit, and he just sounded like a very
He would take us on adventures. I loved that man as a child.
But then, when your parents got divorced, you kind of felt thrown away by your dad.
Yeah, I did because when he remarried, and we actually they asked us who we wanted to go with, and we chose Dad. Dad was my hero. I just wanted to be with him no matter what. And shortly afterwards, he gets remarried, and we tried to blend families, and it didn't work very well. And so it sort of brought trouble in his new marriage. And so he made the choice to send us off, and we would just go live with our mom. We didn't ask us about it. He was going to send us to go live with mom while he raised her kids, essentially.
Yeah, and you felt really rejected.
Oh, yeah, I was totally heartbroken. This was my dad, my hero. I wanted nothing else in life but to be in his shadow, be with this man. And it shattered my life. Everything changed from there.
I remember you said that you called him because you didn't believe that he was.
Yeah, I didn't believe he would do it.
You were just visiting your mom for the summer.
And I was told that this was permanent, and I'm like, no way, Dad wouldn't do that.
And you were calling him, and he was like, no, son. It's
he's like, you're gonna be living there now. And I mean, I just bawled like a baby.
Would you say that is the time where you turned to like petty crime?
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Drinking, drugging.
I became a petty criminal and drug using, and I mean, I felt like I had no world. I felt like I couldn't count on anything. I felt like nothing was secure anymore. So even though my mom was still there to love me, I somehow felt like it was all on me. I was all on my own. So here I am, a 13-year-old kid deciding basically I'm going to raise myself in a sense.
Right.
And so it wasn't long. I was on the streets and living that life, and I was totally broken, dysfunctional, disillusioned, hurt.
And your mom really couldn't handle you. You were kind of just
I was too much. I got too mean, too
stubborn.
Angry, too rebellious. Was never going to care about what any authority had to say anymore. I had no respect for it. I was hurt that bad. I was totally shattered.
How long was it before you got to see your dad again?
Okay, well, it was about 5 years later.
So you didn't even talk to him on the phone?
No.
Nothing during that time?
In fact, he had stopped taking my calls because I would have to call him collect.
And
so he just stopped taking my calls, and it was just, it was horrible. And he was my hero.
Yeah.
And So, when I got a little older, I was about 18, and by this time, I'm hitchhiking around the country, bumming around, hustling, and one of my travels, I hitchhiked down to Florida. Well, I'm down in Florida. I'm going to see my dad, and he wasn't too impressed with me. I was a skinny, long-haired, drifting drug user. You
were a hippie, weren't you?
Oh, you definitely total hippie of the day, and he wasn't impressed with me at all. But we got to having some serious talks and about having some kind of goal in life and whatever, because I had none, and so it touched a part of me, and so he was going. So we agreed that I would come back and live with him, and so would my brother and sister. We'd all come back and we'd stay with him, and he would help me through the process of getting into college and all that stuff. I had to get a GED to get a high school diploma. He was helping with all that stuff, and so that was the plan. But here I am now, this kid who's basically been on his own, doesn't take orders from anyone, and now I'm back in the house with this authoritarian man who wants to tell me what to do, and I felt like, you don't have a right. You were never there when I needed you, and so I just rebelled against everything. We just kept knocking heads, and I was a mess. I was a real mess. He was doing the best he could with me in his way, but I was just such a mess. It wasn't going to work, and so after a little while, I just left. I just got up early one morning and walked out the door and walked away. Didn't know if I'd ever see him again. Oh, it got so bad, and the reason I walked away was because that night before, we'd almost got into a fist fight. I mean, it just got so bad. I mean, I came so close to punching my dad in the face. And
do you remember what it was about, or what it was?
No, honestly, I don't. We were mad at each other all the time.
It seems like it.
And it just got so bad where it was just like, and he was like, he was tired of it too. He said, "Let's go outside and let's sit." And I was so ready. Oh. I mean, we were enemies. We had just become enemies. We weren't just estranged. We were enemies.
That's a really good picture of really in the carnal reality. Even though you wanted to make right with your dad, it was like you were being driven by your flesh that could not let go of what he'd done, of how he'd betrayed you. And so it was like, even though you wanted to make good with your dad, it wasn't.
I was too hurt. I was too hurt, and my pain had me so blinded. It had me so selfish.
Yeah.
You can't see straight. There's no way you can know how to do this right.
Yeah.
Because in that world, it's every man for himself.
Yeah.
And in that particular world, it happened to be me against my dad for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it scared me, and it hurt me that it got that bad, that I came that close to actually having a physical fight with my dad. Yeah. So the next morning I got up early and I just left.
Yeah.
And hitchhiked back across the country and had adventures, and I just left that whole chance of ever really knowing my dad, who at one time in my life was my hero.
Yeah.
It was done. It was gone. But then a wonderful thing happened. 21 years old, I met the Lord. And I had a dramatic salvation and a conversion. And the biggest part of all of that was, it was the first time I felt like in my life that I felt loved. I really felt that God loved me. And I was surprised by that. And as some years went by, and so I was in the church, and pretty soon then I'm studying to become a minister, and so on, and just had fallen in love with God, and had a sense of a good degree of a sense of fulfillment in my heart, that I was where I was supposed to be. I was loved. So eventually, I feel like I'm going to go back to Florida, where I spent a lot of time growing up. And I was going to start a church, and I was in my early 30s at that time. And
now, had you talked to your dad?
No, not since.
So, since you
left
when you were like 19 or 20?
Yeah, I left when I was like 19.
19 or 20, until you were 30, no contact.
No.
Oh my gosh.
but now I'm a new creation. I'm a different kind of person. I'm not that hurt boy, angry boy anymore. And I was happy. I was loved. I had a family, and so he was nearby where I was living, not too far from where I was living. So, I reached out and made contact with him.
Now you're married now.
I'm
you
married.
Have children,
got two little children. Wanted them to know their grandpa, and so we, I went visited his house, and he was very nice and cordial, but we were estranged. So it was not like we'd hit it off. We kind of shook hands like businessmen, and nice to see you.
Each other out,
yeah. And I could tell he was tentative because the very last time we saw each other, we know how it was.
Yeah.
And so over time, I would continue to visit more and more and more, and eventually he saw that I had no agenda except just wanted to be around him, just wanted to be with him, just wanted to know him, and wanted to enjoy him. And I never made any confrontation. I never demanded any apology or anything. I just loved my dad because I had been loved. So now I'm not that hurt, angry boy anymore. I've got love to give. And God loved me in my worst condition.
Yeah.
And so I could love my dad in any condition. And so, eventually he saw that. He saw that I loved him. And so we began getting closer, and we became fishing buddies, and we would go out fishing on the boat together, and we would, and he would come and visit my church, and eventually the day came when he walked the aisle himself, and he was totally against especially any kind of organized religion at all. But he started coming to my church. He liked what I did. I'm sure he thought I was overboard in some of my religious ideas in Christianity, and in fact I was, looking back in some ways. But still, there were so many good things that he liked, and he was loving me. He was liking our relationship. He had become my fishing buddy, my friend, and he had become my dad.
Yeah.
And he was my dad, and I was proud that he was my dad, and he was proud that I was his son, and we liked spending time together. And so love did that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, first of all, I found the love that we all need to be fulfilled. I could never deal with that situation right if I wasn't fulfilled in some big way. I would have tried maybe, but something would have happened because I would have still been too hurt.
Yeah.
And we would have blown up again. But I had nothing but love and grace to give to him. And so in my situation, and other people's, it might be different, but in my situation, I never felt inclined at all to demand any apology or have any confrontation. As far as I was concerned, it was fine because I was fulfilled in my heart, and I just loved this man.
It was like you didn't need anything from
I did
him.
not need anything, and that's when you're hurt, you need something from them. You need an apology. You need to know that they've changed.
Justice.
You need them to at least admit you were wrong, doggone it,
Fairness.
And I didn't need any of that, because if I was hurt, I would have felt needy.
Yeah.
But I didn't need any of that, and so I just loved him, and we drew very, very, very close, and there were even times when he. When we would talk about some of the past, just in memories, talking about certain things, that he really changed history in his mind. He rewrote it in a much different way than how I remember it, and I'm sure some of the facts were really altered, but I never called him on it. I just thought, this is my dad. He's in his older years. Let the man have peace. I don't want to put any kind of guilt on this man. I don't want this man to have any kind of burden about any decisions he'd made in the past. I love this man. I want him to have peace. So I never corrected. I just let him think whatever he did. And it was okay, because there again, I'm not hurt, so I don't have to have any form of justice or fairness.
Yeah.
God has been more than fair to me, so I could be more than fair to him.
Love that.
And then, eventually my dad was diagnosed with very advanced cancer, and I was the one that he came to and talked to, and he told me, about it and so on. And then shortly after that, he passed. I was making preparation to come down and see him, but he died very quickly after that. And so came down to his memorial service, and I just remember being so grateful to God that simply because of his love, I was able to enjoy my dad. In fact, the best version of my dad, and he could enjoy the best version of his son, this son who was so messed up. And we got to enjoy the heaven of that relationship. And the whole story, this is why I wrote the story, the whole thing, it's a testament, not because, well, here's what I did right and here's what you need to do to make relationships right in your life. It wasn't that. The love took care of all that. You know,
because not everyone is necessarily going to have reconciliation.
Sometimes there's some people who just won't reconcile.
Yeah, because it does take two people. Like your dad could have shut the door, and you still would have had love in your heart. You still would have had. Still
have made no demands.
Yeah.
Because I was already full. I didn't have to have something else to make my life complete anymore.
Yeah.
But the relationship made a complete life much more of a sweet life.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So the story is not. It's not ABC. Here's what you do to reconcile with people that have hurt you. That's never what it is. The story is a story of a God who loved a mess like me unconditionally, and it just gave this mess some unconditional love to give. And it's very, very powerful, and it can change so many things. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for writing.
Thanks for the interview, because I really think that this is a book that, you know, maybe it wasn't daddy issues, but it's a heart issue. It's really a story more than just a story about a boy and his dad. It's the real hero of the story is God's unconditional love for a mess.
Yeah, and we kind of pretty much told you the story, so I don't even know if they need.
It's a short booklet, but it's good to share with other people.
And we're thinking
we wanted to put it out because Father's Day is coming, and it's a great gift to some people. There's a lot of things, you know, life is messy a lot of times for most of us, but love is big enough to make it all well, make it all good.
So you can actually purchase this book on our website at rickmanis.com or on amazon.com, but we want to give away a couple, how many should we give away?
However many you want.
Do you want to give away 2?
At least, yeah.
2 or 3?
Okay.
Okay, what we're going to do is just give away a couple to our listeners, whoever has listened the whole way through. We would just love for you to make a comment or tag someone else that you think might be interested in this book. And whatever names are below the video that we have posted on Facebook,
we'll pull 3 of them. We'll
do a drawing, and we'll pull 3 names, and we will send you your free copy of
Daddy Doesn't Want Me.
So go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll do that before Father's Day. Should we do it maybe this week?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Wednesday.
We'll do it Wednesday. Wednesday's the drawing.
Wednesday, June. Today's the 2nd,
3rd,
4th. June 5th. We'll do a drawing. All right. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.